Sacramento took the big shot blocker from Utah State, Neemias Keita.
Yeah, the pride of Portugal, and this is really an incredible story. I first saw Neemias when he was 16, 17 years old out in Estonia, 6'9", raw, gangly, no collegiate offers, ends up at Utah State just because they already had a Portuguese player, and they backed into something special because he grew to 7 feet tall, great length, 15 points a game, 3 blocks, 10 rebounds, really impressive prospect.
He had 16 big double-doubles this past year, too, the third most in the nation. So
I wouldn't be, you know what? I watched him a lot at Utah State, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he's the starting center by the end of this season for the Sacramento Kings. He's that good to me.
Played well at the Combine.
New Orleans on the clock, and the pick is in for the Pelicans, 40th overall. Here's the Deputy Commissioner, Mark Tatum.
With the 40th pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Jared Butler from Baylor University.
Going to his home state of Louisiana, from reserve Louisiana, and Jared Butler goes off the board.
Well, the most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament for the national champion Baylor Bears, an elite shooter. Very skilled, but also driving, a very good passer. And a high-level defender that gets steals and deflections. He plays at both ends of the floor and plays with a lot of maturity. 51% in catch-and-shoot situations and shows just fantastic range. And I agree with Scott Drew. At this level of the draft, he's an absolute steal.
There's a church in New Orleans that's going to get a really good second and third grade Sunday school teacher, too. Something
it's called First Street Baptist Church.
There you go. Put Jared on the spot already.
With the 41st pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Joe Wieskamp from the University of Iowa.
I like him.
If it is shooting you want, it is shooting that Joe Wieskamp can deliver.
Yeah, Wieskamp can shoot it. He's got size. He's a catch-and-shoot guy. Puts it on the deck. Moves really well without the ball and finds open areas. It does not take him long from the time he catches it to the time he releases it. Very efficient and also a pretty darn good passer. You know, not a great defender, but his shooting and ability to space the floor is what got him drafted in this spot. Another guy that played well at the Combine. I think he had 26 in one game that we watched and really played well and competed hard.
Conference games in the Big Ten this year, he shot 49.5% from three. That'll play, even if you have to back up a little bit as we check in with Rachel and Richard with some of the Eastern Conference headlines.
It's been fascinating to see how the tectonic plates are shifting in the Eastern Conference here. Of course, the teams at the bottom always do well in the draft. They're getting the high picks, but the Pistons certainly got potentially a franchise changer in Cade Cunningham. Cleveland did well. Orlando getting Jalen Suggs falling to them. They didn't expect that. And then we're also seeing on this same night, the Wizards completely throwing their team up into the air. We know that Philadelphia is shopping Ben Simmons. There's a lot going on in the East, Richard.
The Eastern Conference, you want to say winners, but you also want to talk about the biggest shifts.
Right.
That's going to be something that when you go into next season, you want to be like, you can look at teams, but for real basketball fans, you're like, I want to see what the Eastern Conference is going to do. You have 4 of the top 5 picks. Then you have some of the top teams that are, or you have Philly, who's one of the top teams. They're changing things. So it's just been so impressive to watch how the draft can help shape an entire conference and how a conference can change via the draft.
And of course, we know that the Nets are going to be back with their players, hopefully a little bit more healthy this year. And the Milwaukee Bucks, the NBA champions, will have something to say about that as well. Let's go on to Mark Tatum for the next pick.
With the 42nd pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Isaiah Livers from the University of Michigan.
I think so.
Love that. Livers, a veteran player for Michigan. He, too, can stretch the floor and knock down the shot. He's a versatile guy. Tremendous player for Juwan Howard.
Yeah, that's what he really does. He's a sharp-shooting combo forward. He's a veteran presence and really, I think, elite on the shooting level. And his ability to step away and knock down perimeter shots. He moves pretty well without the ball. Not a great defender. That's something he needs to improve upon, but and a decent rebounder for his size, averages about 6 a game.
I think he's a guy that also could come in and he could play right away. I mean, Juwan Howard has these guys pro-ready. I watch him. He's able to get up over ball screens defensively. He knows how to run NBA sets. So I think he could come in off the bench for the Detroit Pistons and do pretty well.
I think he's a rotation player. I really do. I think when we look back in 3-4 years, we're going to say, man, why didn't Isaiah Livers get more first-round looks? It's because he had that injury. If he was healthy, I really think we'd be talking about him in the 20s.
So Livers staying in the state of Michigan from Kalamazoo, same high school as Derek Jeter, I believe, and now played his college ball at Michigan and drafted by the Detroit Pistons. That puts the New Orleans Pelicans on the clock. They're on the clock, and tell me again, this pick is on its way to be moved to? It's in Portland, right? So with their new coach, Chauncey Billups, our former draft partner, they started the ninth. They were one of the teams without a first-round pick. We hadn't heard from them. There were 7 to start the night, and another one wound up without it. So now the Pelicans will make the pick, this pick on its way to Portland.
With the 43rd pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Greg Brown III from the University of Texas.
6'8.5" forward. An elite athlete, another big man that Texas is churning out.
Absolutely. I've been to a few of his games down there in Austin, Texas, because it's only a 2.5-hour drive. Great athlete. Didn't have the best college experience, but I feel like with the right coach, right NBA setting, they could put him in position to be successful, and he could play early minutes like Kenyon Martin Jr. has.
Yeah, he's another pogo stick athlete and can run the floor, can obviously a lob threat, plays above the rim, and he's an emerging shooter. He's still trying to figure out where he fits in, and he had some issues with that at Texas, but he's got potential to be good.
His mom was part of 4 national championship track teams at Texas. His dad was a Texas football player. Now Greg Brown, drafted by the Pelicans, going to Portland.